Trump tariffs, ladies and gentlemen. Do you know that Trump tariffs is probably going to end up costing majority of American household $2,400? That's $2,400 due to the tariff that's going on. And what I'm talking about is basically America's going to have to come up, not America, but American citizens, the households, because it's not going to be any kind of stimulus thing where they're going to give us the money in order to do this. Most of that money from the stimulus check and the forgiveness program, all that stuff basically ran out. And right now they're taking money from other programs in order to fund some of these money that they're missing, right? So it's a lot of things that's going on. But what I'm talking about right now is an extra $2,400. You and I, your household, my household, we're going to have to come up with an extra $2,400. And the reason why is because of the upcoming tariffs, the tariffs that's going on, right? The new tariffs acts that's taking place. So we're going to have to come up, and these are some of the reasons, because expenses is going to go up. So now what a tariff basically is a tariff is a tax on imports into the country. So when you get taxed on these imports onto the country, business owners have to pay taxes on these imported products. So the imported, you could be having products, merchandise, whatever that's coming in, clothing, produce, whatever's coming in. These businesses now have to pay taxes on these tariffs, kind of trying to force America to start doing more business within America. But right now, it's kind of a big backlash because a lot of people is going to have to finny up and pay the price for these tariffs. Now, when the business have to pay the taxes on these tariffs, that means their expenses go up. Their expenses go up on these tariffs because the new tariff acts that's going on. They have to come out of their pocket and pay off whatever they have to do in order to get their products into the country. So they have to pay these tariff tax, 15%, 10%, 20%, whatever it is, whichever country you're getting your product from, or business, whichever company or business getting the product from. Now what happened is these prices get trickled down to the consumers. You know, the consumers, the ones who's buying these products, who's buying these merchandises, who's buying these produce, get hit with the taxes, because what the business is doing is they're trickling down the taxes onto the prices. Unfortunately, some of these businesses are not being morally correct, and instead of just the taxes from the tariff taxes, a lot of companies are basically price gouging. So it might be more than $2,400 that America gonna have to come up. American household might have to come up with more than $2,400. In actuality, if you really look at it, with it being the summertime at the moment, at the time of this recording, at the time of this video, it's the summertime. And you know what happens in the summertime? We have gas price goes up, food price goes up, a lot of things goes up, traveling, etc., etc. So when these things get hit with tariffs, they trickle down into the consumers. So things are going to get more expensive. In addition to, we can see that a recession is in the loom. So when the recession is on the loom, things get more expensive. We have to come up with more money. We have to come up, right now they're saying a projected $2,400, $2,400. Most American households have to come up with that in order to be able to fit the bill of what these tariffs is going to hit with us. So we got prices on everyday goods like coffee, prices on fruits, vegetables. You know, get a lot of imported vegetables, you know, from like Mexico and the Caribbean islands and South America. Medicine is also the ones that's going to be getting hit with tariffs. All of these are going up in prices. They're going up in prices and they're rising. And it's going to be not just because of inflation. That's another thing. Not just because of inflation, not just because of cost of living, but also in addition to these tariff taxes that's going to be hitting us. And they're already hitting us. You can see, you know, prices of eggs, prices of produce, prices of clothing, coffee. The prices of coffee is definitely going up. So these tariffs is going to be scary, because it's going to be the highest that it's nearly been in over decades. So almost like century. So we haven't seen tariffs this high in over almost a century. So it's going to be crazy because people don't know how to adjust to this. We haven't seen this kind of tariffs, this kind of expenses that we're going to have to come out of the pocket. The government is not really helping people out because, the government is downsizing, reducing, cutting back expenses. Even SNAP, I'm going to do another video. SNAP is going to be getting hit. So the government is downsizing, and they're hitting people with these tariffs in order to get some money back into the Treasury Department. So the Treasury Department, the division of the government that controls the money, that's able to, create a ledger, a budget and expenses and what we have to take care of. Man, so cost is going to be crazy, right? So the average family, like I said, is going to have to pay $2,400 in order to be able to cover their expenses because of these tariffs. So extra cost for this year, they're saying is basically what, $200 a month you're going to have to come up with in order to combat these increase of tariffs. So if you're making $50,000 a year, you're going to have to end up making, what, $53,000 a year, or find extra ways to make some extra income. Some, maybe you have to do some gig economy, find a part-time job or a second job, whichever it is, invest, trade, whatever you have to do in order to come up with this extra $2,400 because prices are going up, these tariffs is not stopping, and the tariffs going to reshape the whole global economy. So we're not just going to see 2,400. It's going to be, some people were saying, some analysts were saying it's probably going to be even more than that, probably like 5 times that. So 5 times 24, what's that? I don't know. Somebody do the math and leave it in the comment. 5 times 2,400. Somebody do the math for me. So the tariffs is definitely gonna be boosting up the global change, and we're gonna have to see how the long term is gonna be. Some things we're used to, we're gonna have to replace it. We're gonna have to replace how we're usually conducting our financing. We're gonna have to control our budgeting, and the increase in costs throughout American consumer and business is going to take effect not just on the American consumers, but also on like small business, like not big business, because big business they usually all set, but the small business also going to be taking some big hits in addition to how consumers are going to be taking hits. So let's talk about, in addition to some other ways that consumers are going to be taking some hits. So we're going to have high prices already going up. We're going to see that. Gas station, the groceries, back to school shopping, increasing those things, increasing clothing costs. Then we're going to see a mixture of impact of special goods. So you're going to have a variety of special goods. It's going to be volatile with these special goods. Some special goods, such as coffee, where we got clothing, coffee, textiles, that the material that we use, appliances, taking fun trips. All of these is going to be hit with these tariff taxes. So it's going to be a little difference in how we live in our lives, right? We're going to have to adjust, not a little bit, we're going to have to adjust more. Because what are you doing currently to generate or bring in an extra $200 a month? Because that's what it's going to be. They said $2,400, extra $2,400 for American household. But if you basically live in check to check, how are you going to come up with an extra $200 a month? So we have to find different ways. We have to cut back on our expenses, cut back on budget. And if you can't even cut back on your expenses, then you got to find different ways of increasing our income, right? Sounds good? So, going across some of these reports saying that lower income household is gonna it's gonna be hit even harder. Lower income household is gonna be, it's not, instead of $2,400 for lower household income, it's gonna have to come up with an extra $4,800. And the reason, like I said, because the SNAP benefits gonna be cutting back. A lot of programs that the government used to be funding is going to be cutting back, and it's going to be put more on the state. And right now, the states are not able to step up and cover the cost that the federal government was covering for these times. So we're going to see impact on personal. We're going to see impact on these business. Business is going to have to do increased costs in order to maintain staying in business, right? Materials going to go up, goods going to go up, so they're going to have to increase their costs in order to at least save their profit or hit above water, hit that zero line, at least balance it out. So small business is going to impact their profit. Profits get reduced. They're going to end up laying off people or firing people, or getting rid of people, or downsizing. I'm talking about the small business. Not talking about the big corporation. I'm talking about small business, like, I don't even want to say mom and pop, but small business that have things up and running. 20 to 50 employees or so. So the supply chain is going to be out of order. It's going to be disorientated. The supply chain is going to be, it's already that way. So it's going to be a lot of uncertainty, a lot of disruption in the supply chain. Your consumers or your customers going to be waiting for a certain product, but you're not going to be able to get it in until 3 weeks from when they really want it or when they need it. So there's going to be a lot of things going on, ladies and gentlemen. So we got to be able to adjust to these tariff taxes. Different things going to be happening with small business. So you're going to probably end up seeing some smaller business downsizing, probably even shutting down. And it's going to be harder for smaller business to start up with these tariffs hitting them, especially if they're importing or had plans. Did that person just come out of the bushes? That's not even a pathway. All right. Okay, so that's a whole nother video. So let me get back into this. So real quick, the tariff's gonna impact us. We're gonna be feeling like we're getting robbed because we got to come up with an extra $2,400. That's $2,400 a year in order to survive these tariffs. That's an extra $200 a month. And so, like I said, some analysts are saying that it's probably even double that, probably even 3 times that. So once again, it's NZD. Hope you got some value out of this. Leave me some comment on what you think about the tariffs and how we have to come up with basically an extra. Each household, each American household, have to come up with an extra $2,400 in order to combat against these tariffs, in order to go up against these tariff taxes. So once again, hit that like button, subscribe, leave me a comment, let me know what you think. All right, talk to you later. Peace.